Hello class. Today we're going to be going over economic analysis and we're going to relate it to economic decision making. So one of the fundamental principles embedded in basically any economic theory is the idea that you're going to make the best decision possible for yourself. Now, we have an example here that's talking about a business. Businesses function under the same principle. We are trying to make decisions that are going to result in the best possible outcome for in this case the company. Okay? So, in order to do that, we need to be able to distinguish relevant information from irrelevant information. So in this example, we have a bunch of numbers, right? Let's just go through the example. An airline has a transatlantic flight that cost $50,000, right? Then they give us information about the aircraft, right? It says it costs the airline $100 to feed and serve each passenger during this flight. According to company records, the average price of a ticket is $700. 2 hours before takeoff, a potential customer pulls up to the ticketing counter and asks for a ticket, but specifies he is only willing to pay $200 for a flight. So you can think of this as flying standby, right? You don't have a ticket, but you're willing to pay something to get on this flight that is not full. There's 20 seats open, so we know there's space for the passenger. Should the airline consider boarding this passenger for $200? Okay, so remember, in order to make the best decision possible for the airline, we have to distinguish relevant information from irrelevant information. Okay, so let's start with the irrelevant information. So, an airline has a transatlantic flight that costs $50,000 to operate. Now, this information might seem relevant. However, this is something that they are going to do regardless if they have any passengers. So this number becomes what we call a sunk cost, right? A sunk cost is a cost that cannot be recovered. Therefore, if you cannot recover a cost, it becomes irrelevant to your decision making. Why does it become irrelevant? I want to give you another example. Let's say you were going to a movie and you paid $10 for a ticket. Okay? So, let's say halfway through the movie, it turns out that you don't like this movie very much, and it's actually becoming kind of annoying to be in the movie theater. Do you stay in the movie just because you already paid, or do you decide to leave the movie and try to do something else more useful with your time? The correct answer to that is you leave, because you're not enjoying this movie, and those $10 that you already paid for the movie ticket are irrelevant now because you already lost them. Okay? So that is the idea of a sunk cost. In this example, since we're going to use the $50,000 anyways, this is not going to matter in our decision making. Okay? So, other pieces of information that are not relevant are the type of aircraft that we have, or whether we have 350 passengers. That information is not important. Okay. Now, let's get to the first piece of information that is important. The first one is $100. It says it costs the airline to feed and serve each passenger during this flight. That is going to be essential information, as this is something that we call a marginal cost. When we talk about the word marginal, we are talking about one more unit. So in terms of marginal cost, we're saying how much does one additional passenger cost the airline. Okay? And then we have this 700. This is going to turn out to be an irrelevant number, right? We need to forget about this because this is the average price. Average price doesn't mean that anybody paid $700. It actually just means that Some people might have paid above 700 or below 700. Some people might be flying free because of miles or whatnot. So this really, even though it seems like relevant information, whenever you see the word average, then that should tell you something, right? We don't really know what the individual numbers are. We just know that an average is 700. It's not really relevant to our decision making. Okay? Now, we do know that this airline has seats open, right? So this is going to tell you something, right? The airline has the option of leaving those seats open, right? Or putting extra passengers in for a little bit of money, which takes us to this $200. This is what the passenger is willing to pay. Okay? This for the airline would be the marginal benefit. Okay? Again, marginal. One more passenger. How much money does one more passenger bring to the airline? In this case, it's going to be 200. So now we have the two items that we circled in green, okay, which are my marginal benefit and my marginal cost. And I can compare them. I have marginal benefit of $200 and I have a marginal cost of $100. So, should the airline consider or let this person in? The answer would be yes, because we can notice here that 200, my marginal benefit is greater than that $100 of marginal cost. My marginal benefit is greater than my marginal cost. As long as we have this situation, we should let the passenger in. Okay? This is your first illustration of how economic analysis can help you reach good decision making. This is actually one of the ways that we think people make decisions. Okay? Assuming they are taking the relevant information and assuming that they're trying to do whatever is best for them, people measure the marginal benefit of a situation to its marginal cost. Okay? Think about any situations where you might have taken a similar approach to decision making.